Welcome to Module 2 of the Business Case Architecture series, Financial Rigor. In Module 1, we established your strategic North Star. We made sure your project actually deserves to exist. Now, we have to prove that it can survive the brutal mathematics of the real world. Today, we are talking about financial modeling, and I need to start by clearing up a very dangerous misconception. A static spreadsheet is not a financial model. If you open Excel, type Year 1 revenue, 1 million, and then simply drag that cell to the right and add 10% for Year 2 and Year 3, you have not built a model. You have built a wish list. You are doing basic arithmetic. And basic arithmetic will get you laughed out of a venture capital pitch or a corporate boardroom. A true financial model is not a static document. It is a living, breathing, dynamic mathematical engine. It is a digital twin of your operational business. When you pull a lever on one side of the model, you should instantly see the ripple effect on your cash flow, your margins, and your bottom line on the other side. Today, we are going to learn how to move beyond basic arithmetic and build a dynamic forecasting engine. To build a dynamic engine, we must first eliminate the cardinal sin of financial modeling: hard coding. Hard coding is when you type a raw number directly into a formula. For example, calculating your marketing budget as revenue multiplied by 0.05. Why is this a sin? Because when, not if, but when, the board asks you, what happens to our payback period if we need to increase marketing spend to 8% to fight off a competitor? Your model breaks. You have to manually dig through hundreds of cells to find and change that 0.05. You will make a mistake, your balance sheet won't tie, and you will lose all credibility in the room. A professional model is strictly segregated into three distinct areas. First, the inputs or assumptions dashboard. This is the control room. Every single variable, the price of your product, your customer churn rate, lives here, entered as a single blue number. Second, the processing engine. This is the plumbing. These sheets contain all the formulas, but they never contain raw numbers. They only point back to the control room. Third, the outputs. Your profit and loss, your balance sheet, your cash flow statement, and your executive summary dashboard. When you segregate your model like this, it becomes a weapon. If the CFO asks, "What if inflation drives our raw material costs up by 12%? You don't panic. You calmly go to your assumptions dashboard, change one single cell, and watch the entire 3-year financial forecast dynamically update in front of their eyes. That is executive certainty. That is how you command the capital. Now let's talk about the actual numbers. The biggest mistake finance professionals make is building models in a vacuum. A financial model is just a mathematical representation of your operational reality. If you do not intimately understand the operational physics of the project, your model is fiction. Let me give you a classic example: sales forecasting. The amateur models revenue by simply drawing a straight line going up. The executive models revenue by mapping the operational drivers. If you tell me you are going to hit 5 million as new sales in Q3, my first question is, how? You say, we are hiring 5 new sales reps. Brilliant. Now we build the operational reality into the model. When do we hire them? Month 1. There is our recruitment cost. Do they start selling on day 1? No. It takes 3 months to train a rep and build a pipeline. So for 3 months, we are paying base salaries, taxes, and software licenses, with zero revenue coming back. We are burning cash in the process. When they finally do start selling, do they hit 100% quota immediately? No, they ramp up over 2 quarters. And by the way, what is the historical attrition rate? If 1 in 5 reps quits within 6 months, we have to model in the cost of replacing them. Do you see the difference? The amateur model's the result. The executive model's the driver. When you model the operational drivers, your financial forecast stops being a guess and becomes an actionable project plan. If revenue is low in month 6, you don't just stare at the spreadsheet. You know exactly which operational lever failed. Was the ramp-up time too slow? Was the attrition rate too high? You can actually manage the business. This brings us to the ultimate purpose of a dynamic financial model. I will let you in on a secret. Your financial model is wrong. Whatever base case you present to the board, it will not happen exactly that way. The market is too chaotic. The purpose of a financial model is not to perfectly predict the future. The purpose of a model is to map the boundaries of reality. It is to build a what-if engine that proves you can survive the chaos. Once your dynamic engine is built, you must stress test it violently. We call this sensitivity analysis. You take the three most critical assumptions in your control room, say customer acquisition cost, monthly churn, and average order value. You run a scenario where your acquisition costs double. Does the project still break even? You run a scenario where your launch is delayed by 6 months, but your fixed overheads start immediately. When do you run out of cash? When you walk into a boardroom, you should never just present the happy path. You present the base case, but then you look the board in the eye and say, "We have stress tested this. Even if supply chain costs increase by 20% and our sales cycle extends by 2 months, our cash buffer holds, and the IRR only drops from 25% to 18%. The downside is protected." When you do that, the conversation changes. You are no longer asking for money. You are advising them on a risk-adjusted capital allocation. Let's summarize. A business case built on static arithmetic is a house of cards. To command capital, you must build a dynamic model, segregate your inputs, process the operational drivers, and violently stress test the outputs. Here is your mentorship challenge for today. I want you to open the financial model for the last project you submitted, or the one you are currently working on. Find the revenue line. If you click on the revenue for year 2, does the formula bar just show a hard-coded number or a lazy percentage increase? Or does it trace back to a dynamic driver, like the number of active users multiplied by a variable subscription fee? If it is hard-coded, your model is static. Break it down and rebuild it as an engine. Thank you for your time today. Please like this video and ensure you are subscribed, because in Lesson 2, we are going to tackle the most important concept in all of corporate finance: the time value of money and how to calculate your true cost of capital. I will see you there.